So I'm going into the garden here from the rear. We've got an oak copse, a nice bamboo here which doesn't spread. Some bamboos spread. That one's got bigger actually. It has spread a bit, but it's not as bad as the other one. It stayed in one place. There's an Elaeagnus next to it, that evergreen. That's the earliest fruiting tree in the country, but generally they do it down south. They don't tend to do it this far north. Then we've got a sea buckthorn. This is an oak copse here, and then there's a salmonberry at the end of it there, and then at the end of it there's some sea buckthorn. So I'll go to the other entrance now. So this is coming to the other entrance. There's a garden plan there. This is the gate. And this is the university buildings, horticulture and agroforestry buildings. And this is the lane. So the Bangor Forest Garden actually forms part of the Bangor University's horticultural land. From here, the entrance, there's a list of trees that we can see. We've got a monkey puzzle tree. Next to that over there we've got a juniper. Between them there's a myrtle, flowering myrtle, and living mulch by those is rubus, ground covering raspberry, and that's rubus tricolor. Next to that, on the other side of the path, beyond this heap of wood cuttings that have been left for us kindly, there's a more rubus Betty Ashburner, and then behind that there's a wild cherry, a crab cherry. Next to that there's a Concord pear. Just beyond the rubus you can see a pineapple guava. Here by this frame there's a buddleia rose going around the frame, which produce beautiful flowers, and there's a butterfly attractant, and you know, it's increasing the amount of ecology within the garden. Here we've got a nursery area where we pot plants, pot on plants and grow plants and trees. Line of elders and Viminalis willows there, and what hadn't come into leaf yet is a small leaf lime. Oh, down here by the monkey puzzle there's a row of Japanese wineberries. Two golden gauges, plums. I've shown amazing growth on the girth, on the girth, because they're planted into a comfrey bed. And comfrey has the amazing, amazingly conditions the soil beautifully for growing plants into it. On the other side there we've got a Nanking cherry and a golden currant. Two little veg beds here, raised beds. Two dwarf apples there, and this is a Velda Boskub apple tree that produces an apple which starts off at the end of the season. When it's ready for picking, it starts off as a cooking apple, but then it changes, sugar increases and it becomes an eater, so it can be used as a cooking apple and an eating apple. Here we've got salmonberry, a black bamboo which is fantastic for spreader. So we get bamboo shoots from that. We cut them at about 2 foot high, and then if we miss them and they're spreading so much that we get bamboo poles from all the time, so we never run short of bamboo poles. And then next to that we've got a rootstock apple. I've got a couple of rootstock apple trees in the garden, and we can cut these for branches for rootstocks. You can tell they're rootstocks because they're, as well as not producing particularly good apples, this particular one, the Bella Bostock over there, is actually a rootstock from a Bardsey apple, where the Bardsey apple failed, and we're left with the rootstock, which has got a lovely apple on it. But this rootstock isn't. and you can tell it's a rootstock because it's trying to root even in the air. They so want to root. They're just fantastic rooters. You can see the bits of root there trying to root. So if you cut a branch of this rootstock and stick it in the ground, next spring you've got a rooted rootstock to graft onto. So carry on round from the salmonberry, we've got the sea buckthorn, ground covering raspberry here, which is a low covering one, and this is Rubus nepalensis. It's either nepalensis or tricolor. Then we got like a great little plant here, which is the first one I ever tasted in the garden, and that's Sedum telephium, which produces an edible salad leaf. It's a perennial edible. It comes all the time every year. Then we've got some good King Henry here, but it hasn't started to grow up above the grass and things yet. And then in that Amelantia, you can see in front of you, there's a hops grows every year. And then here we've got a ginkgo biloba. So in this little area here, there's a ginkgo biloba there. We've got dogwood over there, which you can use for basketry. And then over there we've got Chinese angelica, which is medicinal, as well as the young shoots being a vegetable. Many plants are medicinal as well as being vegetables or fruits, or having other properties to them like dyes and all the kinds of other things that you can use them for. And in this area here, you can see it's only a small area, but it's got so many different plants within it. Looking around, we've got an oak copse, sea buckthorn, Chinese angelica, a pear, another pear, and a plum. Ground covering rubus, 3 different varieties that produce raspberries as well as being a living mulch. Dogwood, a rowan over there, ginkgo biloba, Belder Bostock apple, pineapple guava, 2 dwarf apple trees, which are we get so many apples from them. A crab cherry there, which can also be used as a rootstock for a cherry. 2 golden gators. The ground's full of living mulch of comfrey, and you can actually eat some comfrey, not too much, they advise. A ground covering raspberry over there. Nanking cherry, golden currant, plum, cherry plum over there, and just over there also thornless loganberry. Great covering, bramble, mint on the ground, and vegetable beds. And you can see there's still space for many annual vegetable beds to go in here as well. And only a small area at the top of the garden. So coming down here, we've got the propagation area, which our nursery, and also compost area. You see some being prepared there. Then we've got a vegetable bed that runs all the way down here. But because we've used railway sleepers, we're not using it for vegetables because they've got fossil fuel chemicals within them that can leach into the soil, so we're advised not to. Here we've got an Eleagnus, same as the other one over there. It produces the earliest fruit in the year. It produces a fruit that you can eat, but then also the seed you can crack open and there's a nut inside that. Supposedly, I haven't tried one yet. There's our Bangor Forest Garden Josterberry, fantastic one, that one. And then we've got it's sort of crowded in there behind it. We've got a large apple which hasn't produced any fruit, but it's probably because it's in the shade. And we've got this row of elders, and then we've got fantastic cherry in flower at the moment, with our educational yurt, or our shelter in case it rains, like over there. Here we've got rhubarb, which we're happy that we've been successful with it after all these years. People have tried growing rhubarb in different places, but it hasn't taken. A golden hornet apple, which is meant to be one of the best for germinating, helping all the apples within the garden to germinate. Or beyond it, you can see there's some large cuttings in the ground to grow on more trees. A small leaf lime here, which hasn't come into leaf. An almond, a Russian almond, more northerly than an almond that grows in more northerly climes, and this is quite. Can't find the words. We get a lot of almonds coming up on this one. Here we've got a pond. Within the pond we've got water hawthorn, but I'm told there's about 4 or 5 other edible types of plants within this pond. All parts of the bulrush, we haven't got bulrushes in here, but all parts of that are edible at different times of its yearly cycle. We've got a Gelder rose over there, an Amalantia, which is an American serviceberry or Juneberry, and a damson which has found its way from that damson over here by the seat, which spreads very well. There's a couple there on the herb bed. And here's a berberis with a yellow flower, and beyond it some kind of japonica, ground covering japonica. This almond was grown from some kind of cherry plum rootstock. It looks like cherry plum rootstock, but recently that's also self-propagated, and you can see it's more like a cherry than a plum. So we're a bit curious now as to know what it looks like. A cherry plum. You can see the red stalk and the green leaves, which is sort of tells us, it makes us believe it's a cherry plum, but obviously those fruits say it's something else, so we're curious as to know what they are. There are 2 sweet chestnuts here, and here's a japonica. We're told it was some sort of American cranberry or American something or other, but we've got to find out what that is. Yeah. Here's the berberis. Every berberis produces an edible fruit. Every different type, I'm told. Here's another josterberry which we propagated from the josterberry over there. This is a pear. This is another pear which we had to tie down. We tied down these branches because they were growing in a way we didn't want, and it's done a lovely job. Tied them down with tights. This one is another. This is a plum, a gauge, and this is an opal plum, and this is a herb spiral. Coming round here, a bit of a shaded area, we've got 4 Amalantias, American serviceberries or Juneberry trees. They're Amalantia canadensis and Amalantia ballerina. They're sort of small. The ballerina is a small version of the canadensis, and here's a damson, and behind that we've got a mulberry, and it was previously planted in an area where the soil wasn't very good, and we've transplanted it, so it hasn't come into leaf yet, so we're looking forward to getting some mulberries from that eventually. And a quince behind it, and some rootstock from a pear rootstock which we've grafted something like a Concord pear, no, conference pear onto it. Coming down the bottom of the garden, we've got a garden tour, DIY garden tour that you can take yourself around if you want to learn about what we got planted and how we planted it and where it's planted, and all different things that you can have apart from the normal pears and apples and plums that you have in most orchards. And then we got this walnut, and we've got plenty of blackcurrants and plenty of gooseberries here. A medlar tree, which produces very nice fruit in the autumn. And on either side of this path then we've got hazelnuts, Kent cob hazelnuts, a cob oven. And whenever you do make a cob oven, you've always got to make sure you build it underneath a shelter, or it'll wash away with the rain. This hasn't. It's been here about 8 years or so, and it's given us great service. It's a great little oven, and this is the fire pit that we all sit around, socialise around. Here's a herb tire bed, a tea bed, quite close to where we sit and have teas and coffees and have our lunches. And there's another grafted pear. Hazelnut. This is a Laxton Fortune apple, which gives us early apples around about June, July. And then one time a branch fell off it, and one of our members planted that branch in the ground, and luckily that came, and we've got another one on the other side, which probably will grow quite a lot taller than that, because the reason why they're on a rootstock is to govern the size of the tree. Another pear that we've grafted there. This is an edible. This will give us a pine nut. It's a digger pine it is. And what we got behind that is a mahonia. Behind that, it's been in flower, and it's coming into flower. It's been in flower. And we've got a lot of yellow raspberries that we've transplanted from the top because we're taking over the top part of the garden where that ginkgo biloba was. Here are 2 opal plums. I'll just show you the comparison of that gauge where I planted in the comfrey bed at the top, as the girth, the size of the girth as compared to the other ones we planted at the same time. These opal plums were not opal plums. One's a pear, and that's a Diane de Comy's pear we planted at the same time, and this one is an opal plum that we planted at the same time. You can see the size of the girth on it. It's doing well though. We're mulching around it now to increase the fertility in the soil, to give it a better go. Yeah, this is a golden gauge here, so this is the same. It's planted at the same time, so you can see how much faster the ones planted in the comfrey beds are. So just coming back up to the top here to show you, compare them. These are the ones that were planted in the comfrey beds. You can see the difference in size, can't you? Just coming back down where the cherry was, this area, just to show you, this area here is full of lemon balm. At the moment there's a lot of nettles in the garden, a lot of young nettles, and that is a fantastic resource, a fantastic vegetable, nettles. If you look at Google it on the internet, you'll see that it's full of nutrition. 5% protein, high in calcium, rich in all the minerals. Quite a number of recipes. So here's that gauge I was comparing it with. So I'll just carry on round, just going back to where I was on the corner here. Yeah, so here's 2 opal plums and the yellow raspberries, and this is a willow dome. Every year we interweave the bits of willow into each other to form a dome. There's an ocean spray, and there's a herb, rosemary over there. Another apple. An area where we do propagate some of the larger trees and plants. We've got a Russian olive there, a Russian olive there, and a Russian olive here. We've yet to see any fruit from these. I suspect they could do with some mulch, fertilising the ground, soil mulch around the base of them to help them grow. That there is a cherry plum that we dug out by the side of that almond. We think it's a cherry plum. We can't be sure. It's the rootstock from. It's grown from the. So we don't know what it is yet. Because it's going to be interesting to see. There's a hazel, gooseberry. Over here is another another rootstock apple tree, and you can see this one's the same, wanting to root in the air. So it's a good little resource for rootstocks. That one needs supporting because it's obviously a dwarf rootstock. It needs supporting, pulling back and supporting. This is an Irish strawberry tree. It comes from the Mediterranean, and it grows flowers around about November, December, late October. Mostly in November, and at that time in November the fruits that the flowers have produced from the year before are also starting to come red and ripe and juicy and sweet, and they're about the same size as small marbles. They've got a speckled surface just like and they're gritty just like a strawberry, and they're actually sweet. So it's really interesting to try those, and it's growing very well here because it's not smothered by any of the plants around it, and this is one of the things about a forest garden. This is basically the only work in a forest garden. As long as you've got good living mulch on the ground and you're treading it down, then there's not much trimming or mowing to do, but or sizing to do, sickling and sizing to do. The only real work is trying to keep them all. Trying to give them all space to grow and space to live. Oh, got a compost toilet over there. What else in here? This part, I can't think. Oh yeah, right in front of our eyes, 15-year-old alder tree. I mean, this was about sort of 3/4 of that size when it was 10 years old. So it's an incredibly fast-growing tree. It's nearly as big. It's bigger than that very, very tall holly. That's an amazingly tall holly there. But this is an ash tree, and it's getting to near the size of the ash tree, fully grown ash tree. And we've taken the lower branches down so that we can give a bit of light into the space. But the thing about an alder, and this is an Italian alder, is you need them because they're a fantastic resource for nitrogen for the soil in the autumn when the leaves fall off. Here we've got a nice little sheltered area. This garden is amazing because it's only flat and yet it has so many different aspects to it. Oh, ground cover this time of the year, between the middle of March and end of April, you've got wild garlic. Fantastic. Everything's edible on it, the leaves and the flower, and when the flower comes out. It's a lovely cool area. It's quite a warm, hot day today. Here we got that, coming back to the Chinese Angelica and the top part of the garden, and here's one of the pairs, and we've got another pair here, which when we got rid of all the brambles in this area we found, and it's sort of coming into its own now, so we've never had a pair from it, so it'll be great to see what they're like. This is a Rosa rugosa. It's a little bit of a weedy Rosa rugosa because it's in the shade, and also it's been covered with brambles as well. Here's a damson. Now this damson gives us lots of damsons in the autumn. This is an elder. Some of them are the original trees that were here when we started the garden when they started the garden in '98. And here's the sea buckthorn, and I think that's about it really. There's a good hazel tree that I get large nuts from here. Dogwood there. Red dogwood, great for basketry. There's a hazel that was coppiced, that's growing now. It was coppiced last year. And here's we've got a Welsh plum. This is the Welsh plum, and that's plum yew, Japanese plum yew. I've got a bit of a story with that plum yew, accidentally being trimmed and accidentally being stood on, and then accidentally being chewed up by sheep. And anyway, nothing's happened to it this year. We've also got myrtle, flowering myrtle here, which has been totally smothered by Eleagnus up until last year, where we've cut it back and found it. And a bay leaf, the same bay leaf you use in soups and stews and cookery. And there's the Mahonia, and we've got lots of gooseberries and black currants here. They're great for shade. They thrive in the shade. Raspberries, black currants, gooseberries, semi-shade. And you've got the spacing. We've got the spacing pretty much okay here. That hazel will grow, stay at that size. We've got digger pine there that's going to grow tall. Medlar will stay at that size, but the walnut's going to grow a hell of a lot higher. Yeah. So that's about it. The Bangor Forest Garden started in 1998, and it's 2014 now. And one fantastic resource started by Sarah Kemmett as part of her master's degree at Bangor University, with help from Bangor University, who gave them the land to use.